Oi hustlers, welcome back to the channel. I'm Candy from Wild Heart Hustle Homestead. Our channel is all about being prepared, being frugal, living on a budget, homesteading and just creating a new life from scratch. So just a bit of context, we have quit the 9 to 5, we became disillusioned by the 9 to 5 and the corporate world and the system essentially. And when I say we, I mean myself and my wife and our 2 cats. We were lucky enough and privileged enough to be able to sell our previous property, have a decent bit of equity from that along with our savings, and we have moved away from everything we know essentially. We're 3 hours away now from where we grew up, all our family and friends, and we've been able to purchase this house outright. So we're very lucky, we've got a lot of potential here. It's a 1/4 acre plot and the foreseeable is going to be building this place like a homestead. So we can be a bit more self-sufficient, we can save money, we can live off the land essentially. I know that a lot of people romanticise that sort of lifestyle, myself included. It is very tough, we're tired, we've worked hard, we got this place in Feb, and now it's just about following us along the journey, what we're on, our narrative, what's personal to us and what's right to us is not going to be the same for everyone else, but this is our journey, so thank you for joining. So today, we've got a little bit of Storm Benny Boy coming over. Don't know if you can hear the rain on the windows, but it's a proper miserable day. And this storm, I guess you could probably say it's just autumn. I don't think it's going to be bad at all. Probably not even going to register on the storm scale. Well, actually, it's been named, so does that mean it's been registered on the storm scale? So it's going to be pretty hefty. I, like most people, agree that this is just the time of year, and there seems to be a lot more faff and fanfare around all these storms that are coming in. When I was a kid, it was just a storm at this time of year. I don't know why they try and kind of manipulate and scare people, but that's the mainstream media for you. So we thought we'd have a little play around with that today, and there are parts that we're going to be able to learn through this storm. We've got the rain at the moment and we're starting to pick up wind-wise, and the winds are going to get quite strong. So we moved into this house, well, we didn't move in for a while, but we got the keys to this house at the back end of Feb this year. So we sort of missed quite a bit of the bad weather. Still cold, still freezing, still a lot of wind, but we don't really know how this house, how it manages in bad weather. We had a little bit of a leak on our fiberglass roof just up there, and we had some rain, and it was the sideways rain, the rain that gets you out wet, that rain. So that came in, not bad at all, not pouring through, just like a little damp patch. So we went up on the roof and we noticed there was a little bit of the cement blown in between the bricks. So we filled that was a couple of months ago now, and touch wood, there's been nothing coming through. So we're pretty prepared in that way, and we want to use this as an example and as an exercise really, just to see, we don't know the house fully. We're living in it obviously, and we're learning about it, but to understand how it's going to cope under heavy rain. I think we've got 2 to 3 days of rain constant. Are there going to be any other new leaks? Is there going to be any power outages? I hope not, but we've been told by the neighbours and stuff that, we're obviously a lot more rural now than we've ever been before. We're a bit in the country and it's prone to power cuts. So we're going to get the solar generator charged up, we're going to get our power packs for our phones charged up, and anything that needs charging or filling up, we're getting that done. And yeah, it's just a bit of a play around with it really. We're not storm chasers, and we're not saying that this storm is going to properly kick off. It's probably just a little storm, but I just thought it'd be quite interesting to share some of the things we now need to think of while we're learning about the house, and who knows, we might even get that log burner turned on. It's still quite warm. I mean, yes, I've got like a fleecy top on, but I'm not cold by any stretch of the imagination. But I think also the temperature's meant to drop once the rain goes off. So we'll see how we get on, but I just thought you'd like to have a little look. But one of the first things I need to do is those chairs and the table, the garden furniture, I need to move them around the side, otherwise they're going to re-establish themselves round in the wind tunnel bit of the garden, and we don't want them to do that. So I'm going to head off and do that, and then we'll show you some other bits. So see you in a bit. Storm incoming, so I'm just going to start getting some of my preps together. We've got the EcoFlow generator, which is not on the full percent, it's only on 85. We're going to put that on charge when these are done. But we've got a couple of, oh, that doesn't fit there. We've got a couple of battery packs for our mobiles. So it's probably much ado about nothing, but we want to make sure that we get charged just in case we need it. Notorious for power cuts in this area, not that we've experienced, so we've only had a couple of little blips of power off, but the wind's meant to get bad, so we're just going to make ourselves as prepared as we can. Another thing with the change in weather, I'm not sure if you can see, but we're getting some condensation on the inside of the windows, which is not great. So, because the weather's changing, basically the windows need replacing at some point, but there's no way that that's in our budget at the moment, and probably not in the near future either. So now the cold weather's coming, obviously once we get the fire on, that is going to start drying the house out a little bit. I don't think it's ever been properly fully dried out. Has it? Golden hour for the girl. So the other thing that we want to keep getting charged up, you can see even on the front window there's a little bit of condensation there. This. So I've got this on charge in case any power goes or anything like that, but not just for the power but for the winter. This is so good. I don't think you can try it while it's working, but this is our Bosch window vac. We had it actually in our camper van, but it is absolutely fantastic. We've already been using it on the windows, but it needs charging, so that's why we haven't done the windows yet this morning. But just another thing that we need to make sure that we've got ready to go, so when the weather changes, which it is now, then we can be prepared, essentially. We've also moved the bins, as you can see, they're now around the front. So hopefully they don't blow away, we'll have to see about that. Right, so we've got all the chairs moved around. I'll show you where they are. Not in any particular nice way, but they're not going anywhere. Washing lines have been put down as well, just in case. That's our new shed where the bins used to be. Now the other good thing, last time, as you know, I mentioned we had a big bit of wind. We had to take the gates off because the bolts weren't in. But what we've done is we've moved the bins here now, and they're pretty sturdy. I don't think they're going anywhere because they're sort of on a bit of a lean. But if you can see, we've now got the bolts in the ground. So hopefully that means that the gate's not going anywhere. Right, I can see by the picture that the camera's getting a bit wet. So I'm headed back in and we're going to start getting some of the other bits charged up. Well, peeps, as you can see, Storm Benjamin, you can see the washing blowing there, turned out to be a bit of a damp squib, as we thought it would be. But it was helpful for us to start getting our mindset in the way of prepping for any future big proper storms. So yeah, we've done all our charging up. We didn't need a power cut. It's a couple of days later from when I filmed that first clip now. And we basically got a couple of days of full rain, and I'm pleased to say no leaks anywhere, so that was fantastic. Sorry if you can hear a bit of draining noise, we've got the washing machine on. But it was just really interesting because it definitely, what we noticed mainly here was a lot of drafts, which we knew. It's an old house, and I think I probably mentioned this before, you know, it's going to be a new windows and new doors jobby at some point, but that is no way in our budget at the moment at this time. And unless we win the lottery anytime soon, then that's not going to be happening. So we're going to make the most of what we can do when the weather gets a bit bad. And so one of our lovely subscribers did mention about a draft excluder. We've got one of those now on the front doors, and that's really stopped a lot of drafts coming in that way. But if we're talking about temperature, I think I've said the whole time, it's been a sort of steady 17 degrees in here, which is perfectly fine for me and Kel. We don't really notice the cold. You know, we're pretty busy, so you don't really get cold too much. But on the subject of temperature, it has dropped. It's gone down to 14, 15 indoors. So there was something that I wanted to show you. I'm literally buzzing. What do you think? So it's feeling very autumnal now. We finally bit the bullet. I know we've been putting it off because of the temperature really, but I think there was a little bit of apprehension, and I know people are watching this probably thinking, why? It's a log burner. We've never had one before. We've never grown up with log burners or anything like that. So, you know, we were a little bit worried about testing it for the first time. We've got a temperature gauge and a stove fan as well, but because this is a brand new log burner, we need to, well, this is what we've been advised to do by the engineer and the installer as well, is to use it 2 to 3 times before we have anything on it so the paint can take hold to it. Sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't really. So there's nothing on at the moment, but once we've got that established, then we will have the stove fan, which is currently here. So that'll be going on. And there's the temperature gauge for it. So we've got some amazing logs. We can see already that this is going to be one of them things when I'm going to be obsessed about. Since I've lit it, I've literally been sitting there staring at it, and then I hear, is there a bit of smoke coming out? Is that noise? Why is that getting hot? Is that right? Like, that's just my anxieties when using new things. But we're loving it. Can already feel the heat coming off of it, and I know when the cats realise that this is on, they're going to be sitting down in front of it. This is Fizz at the moment. Pickle is upstairs as usual, just chilling, but I think once they get to notice this is a lot warmer down there, they're going to be down here. So that is a Hunter stove. We've got, I think it's, I'm not actually going to say what log it is, what wood it is. I think it's oak, but I'm really not 100% sure. I'm actually going to, next time we get our next delivery, I'm actually going to ask the people. I know oak is the best logs to burn, supposedly, so I've been told. But I'm not entirely sure. But so this is a Hunter stove. There was an old coal fire there before. We have had the chimney completely swept with a brand new liner. We've had a new cowl put on top of the chimney. We have also obviously knocked out the fireplace quite considerably, and we've had that with, that's got the fireboard cement, I think that's the right term, and it's been tiled as well. And we've also got a new lintel that we've had put in on this, and a new catch plate as well. And that has been signed off by the HETAS engineer. So it's all done properly. And I hope over time, you know, before we moved into this house, like I said before, this is no disrespect whatsoever to previous owners or anything like that, but the house wasn't looked after. You know, it's got good bones, it's good structure, but they wasn't heating it properly. Their fire wasn't working properly. It was leaking, it wasn't pumping out heat, and then added to that, it was empty for 2 years or 18 months before we moved in. So, and now actually it's probably 2.5 years since there's been any kind of heat in here. So I'm hoping that us using this regularly over the winter will start drying the house out a little bit. But we'll see. We've no idea how long it's going to take to burn those 4 chunks of logs that are in there. I think it'll probably take us 2 or 3 winters to get used to the amount that we actually want to use. Obviously, there's a lot of different factors that come into that, how cold it is, how often you use it, that type of thing, what logs you're burning. So all that is going to be a learning curve for us, but I'm just so excited. We've actually got the log burner on. Now we can have a cosy afternoon and just chill, and there's some international women's football on as well, so we're going to get settled for that. But I just wanted to show you, I'm literally, do you know what I've been doing? Since we got this on, I've just literally FaceTimed everyone that I know, saying, hi, look at my log burner. I know there's so many people out there with log burners who literally like live by the fire and just chuck logs in it, but I was like getting a bit of kindling with my glove, like I was being, I know it's not going to be like that all the time, and we'll obviously get used to, you know, the bit that opens the air and closes the air and stuff like that, so there's so much to get used to. But this essentially was all part of our, you know, storm prepping as such, and winter prepping. I know we've done a couple of videos on winter prep so far, but this was the last piece to the puzzle for us. There's stuff that needs doing, like I mentioned, like the doors and windows, and they're not going to be done for the foreseeable. So it was also about making sure that we're prepared for any power cuts and stuff like that, and we are. We had everything charged up, ready to go. You know, the pantry's full, the fridge is full, our solar generator was charged up, and now we've got heat. And I'm sure that if we ever needed to heat water or anything like that on there, we're never going to get to that point. But if we had to, then we can do. So I just wanted to share that, and that's like the little finale for this video, a little bit of a, yeah, it's just nice. And do you know what? I can really feel the heat, and it's just, obviously we've had summer here, but there's never been like that sort of warmth, and it just makes it feel cosy. So from me and my log burner, I am going to love you and leave you. But thank you again for the latest flurry of new subscribers. It means everything to us that there's actually people out there that enjoy listening to me rambling on, and there's going to be a lot more stuff to come, as I've said, so especially the outdoor bits as well. And as we come into winter, there's going to be a lot more projects, there's going to be a lot more stuff that we're getting prepared for the garden, so that's ready for next season and all that jazz. But thank you so much, hustlers. Probably a shorter video this week just because we're just getting little bits and bobs done, but we'll be back with our next video in the week, so we hope to see you then. See you later, hustlers.